Well, hey, Joe, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So this is our class of sport management. Some of them are off screen, but that's okay. Kind of, start off by telling us what exactly the Portland Timbers are and, how this fits into everything else.
Sure. So we are a Major League Soccer team. We started in 2011. I started with the organization in 2007, actually. Was hired here after the owner bought a AAA baseball team and a USL soccer team. And after 1 year, it was pretty clear soccer was very, very popular here in Portland. And we got a Major League Soccer expansion franchise for 2011. So we had a 2-year runway to get ready for our first year in MLS. And it's been a fun ride for the past 14 years now. I guess 17 total years. It's my 17th season here, but 14th year in MLS, and we are, we do really well. We've been very fortunate to have a great market here. We've had some great people working here behind the scenes as teammates, and we've had a pretty successful launch and successful run here in MLS.
So talk about the process of going up to the MLS level, because you guys, as much as it's a runway, it's a process, right? You don't just one day they just kind of give you the benediction. You actually have to really earn it, don't you?
Yeah. So we were in 2008. We started. That's when our first season really running the whole team, both teams happened, and we did pretty well selling soccer tickets, season tickets, group tickets. We had some great crowds. We were averaging about 10 to 11,000 a game in 2008. And Major League Soccer was looking to expand. We had an ownership group that was interested in soccer, and it came about pretty quickly as far as the expansion bid. But we wanted a 2-year runway so that we could have enough time to do all the things necessary to make us successful from the outset. So we had 2 years of sales to go to get to where we needed on season tickets and partnerships. So that runway really helped us to be successful. Some other teams have had a much shorter runway. Still had some success, but I've seen some teams with short runways that have struggled because it does take time. It's not just, you don't just put an ad out, people buy tickets. You do have to sell pretty aggressively to get to where you need to be. In 2010, probably in October, we were still about 7,000 season tickets sold, and we wanted to get to 12,000. And people that, look at our success just think we just went on sale and sold out, but we had to work hard. It was not easy in the beginning. And the corporate community here was a little slow to pick up on soccer. And once they did in February and we'd sold through most of our good inventory, they were kind of left out. And we had to create more premium inventory on the field level in order to meet some of the corporate needs. But it was a lot of work to get there. It was not just an overnight, hey, we're going to open up and sell out, and it's going to be really, really easy for us.
So you mentioned the perception of soccer a little bit, but you're also fighting against competitors and sometimes a little bit friendly, but like the Trailblazers, who have owned Portland for so long. You kind of had to get attention span. What did you do to kind of separate yourself as an organization?
Yeah, it's funny talking about competitors, because a lot of times people look at our competitors as the Seattle Sounders or LAFC or LA Galaxy, and I don't even view them as our competitors off the field, because we're just competing with the Blazers and Hillsborough Hops, a single A baseball team here, because we're fighting for corporate dollars. We're fighting for people's discretionary incomes. It's not I don't care if someone buys a Sounders ticket. It doesn't really impact me, because you're not choosing. No one in Portland's like, am I going to buy a Timbers ticket, or am I going to drive 3 hours to go to a Sounders game? They're either going to buy a Timbers ticket or a Blazers ticket. So I wish the Sounders well off the field. Obviously, our competitors on the field, but how have we competed with the Blazers? We had some fortunate tailwinds in that we were part of the NASL back in the 70s. And so our first year was 1975. We had the Timbers started, and we had a lot of the players that came over and played in that league. They stayed in Portland, and they built a pretty robust youth soccer community here. Additionally, the University of Portland, Clive Charles was the head coach there, and they Christine Sinclair was played there, and they won national championships and had the best attendance in women's soccer in the country. So we had a bit of a soccer foundation here when we started, and it just built off of that. Really, kids playing soccer and staying involved in soccer throughout high school and then college, and it was fertile ground for us, and it was really great. And then 2010, the World Cup in 2010 was really impactful. We saw a big jump there. 2014, another great jump for us in relevance and competition in our marketplace. Missing the World Cup in 2018 was a real blow to soccer, I think, in this country. And I think in 22, having it in the fall, going up against every other sport, NFL, college football, college basketball, NBA, NHL, everything, really was tough. So I think 26 is going to be a big year for us as just soccer in the US, because I think we're going to be able to, I think it's going to be a huge take off hugely for us back in the summer again, just competing against baseball. So I think we're just going to capture a lot of people with that, and the US team continues to improve too. So if we make a run, which is, a tough thing for us, it's not the number one sport in the country like every other place in the world. So our athletes are split throughout all sports. Everyone knows I don't need to, that's not breaking news, but hopefully we can get a pretty good run there in 26.
What's funny about Portland is it's a little goofy. University of Portland women's soccer sells out, 7,000-8,000 in a minute. How do you actually get it to where you transition that fan base to not only like MLS, but then also the Portland Thorns to kind of go the professional route? Because they might just be college people wanting to watch a college sport.
Yeah, it was, we were fortunate. We had a really great supporters group they started back in 2001, the Timbers Army. So we had a great atmosphere going into MLS. And we did some things in 2011 that helped help their growth as well. We gave them $10 from every season ticket sold in their supporter section. We gave back to them to help seed some of their efforts on game day atmosphere, away travel, building up their group. And they have their own 501c3 that manages everything they do on the game day and outside of it as well, because their goal is to help grow the game in Portland as well. So that helped out a lot. And on the University of Portland, it's about a 5,000 seat stadium. So when they're selling out, there's going to be extra people there that can't get in, and we now are at 25,000 here. So we've got more capacity, and we can handle more people. We've got, it's a pretty small college stadium. There's not great amenities as far as, parking and public transit and the game day experience with concessions and premium atmosphere. And we've built premium amenities here that have helped with answer some of that stuff, some of those things for the corporate community. And the corporate community is definitely come out and supported us a lot. So
you mentioned the atmosphere. You cut up a log. You guys do different things. What is it that really kind of transitioned to where you guys decided, hey, we need to add these extra things? What was it that kind of said, hey, let's cut up a log?
We can't take credit for the log because that happened back in the 70s. So Timber Jim was the first mascot, and he was a fan of the team. And the 70s were a wild time. He asked if he could bring a chainsaw into the game, and they said yes. So a fan brought a chainsaw into the game, and then he had the idea to start sawing logs, and he started doing that in the 70s. And then in 2009, he decided to retire. So we had a search for a new mascot. And so we have Timber Joey now. And we knew that we needed to lean into Portland. As you said, Portland is keep Portland weird. It is an interesting place at times. And we need to lean into that to be authentic, because if we were just like a canned experience like everywhere else, it wasn't going to really resonate with fans. So we knew we needed to really lean into some of the traditions that were already in place, and we did that. And it does make us unique here, and unique not just here, everywhere in the world. We can go places, you can go to England, you can go to Spain, you could talk about the Timbers, and they're like, oh, you have a guy that saws a log after you score goals, and it's really, really unique. And it helps us, I think, a ton, in that people know who Timber Joey is. We just went to Rwanda. We built a field in Rwanda. We did it back pre-pandemic. We were going to do the dedication in April of 2020. Obviously, the world shut down. We just went back in January, and on the trip there, our head of community said every airport they went through, someone knew who Timber Joey was, and they went up and talked to him because he went with her on the trip. So our lumberjack mascot is known around the world, which is pretty unique and pretty incredible for just, you know, an MLS team here from Portland. To have that kind of worldwide recognition is pretty nice.
Ethan has a question. Ethan, what's your question?
What is the best single strategy you use for kind of marketing?
I'm sorry,
What's the biggest single strategy used for marketing? You'll have to speak up as well as the rest of the class.
yeah, it was back in 2011. Or 2010, going into 2011, we needed a marketing campaign that was going to capture people's attention. And the first one we did just didn't work. It was talking about, you know, we're now on the world stage. I think it was this out of home campaign that it said Manchester, Barcelona, Madrid, you know, Portland. We're now on the world stage. No one didn't really capture anybody's attention. And so we hired a new agency, and their idea was just put up pictures, billboards around Portland of regular people with holding axes and chainsaws, and just have our logo in the bottom right corner. It just says Spring 2011. And our president was worried that I was not going to be in favor of it because it had no call to action, nothing for us like, hey, buy tickets. It was just an awareness campaign. And it went up all around town, and it was a huge piece for us because it got people talking about us. And once that happened, people asking, what is that? What is going on there? It really took off for us. And those photos are now something we do every 5 years. So we did a fan campaign with that right in the beginning of 2011, where we had fans come down and take their photos with fake axes. For liability purposes, we don't give them real axes, but fake axes. And we then give them those photos. They use them on social media. We've done it every 5 years. So we did it in 2011. We did it again in 2015. Did it in early 2020. We'll do it again in 2025. And we take those photos. We put them up around the stadium. We have some murals photo murals in the stadium for every year. We've used them outside of the building on our facade for just to highlight our fans. And it was a great idea then, and it keeps paying off, you know, years and years later.
You mentioned the idea of, you know, keep Portland weird, but you also have the balancing act because there is the inability, even though they have a lot of corporate headquarters there for like Nike and etc. They don't really like corporatism. It gets turned off. So you can't really show too much corporatism, correct?
Yes, yes and no. We've really leaned into our local partners. So our partnerships are somewhat unique. You know, we have Tillamook is a big partner of ours. You know, I don't think anybody else has a cheese partner in MLS. So it's a local partnership. Alaska Airlines was our partner for 13 years. Great partnership, but it was a local airline. Our new partner, DeBella, is a home improvement company that started here in Hillsborough. And so we've really leaned into those unique local partnerships. And I think that's been helpful for us. If we had a huge national partner, you know, if it was Bank of America on our shirt, I think we'd probably it wouldn't resonate as much with our fans, but these local partnerships have really worked out really well for us. And to your point about the corporate community here, it is smaller than what people probably realize. But they've really supported us since the inception, since probably February of 2011, when they finally started seeing that it was going to be very popular. And maybe people in their company were asking, hey, are we going to get season tickets? We've been really successful on the premium side. Every time we build anything new, we try to add more premium seating because that is what the corporate clients are looking for. And we've done a lot of great things. Our field seats, we were the highest priced field seats in MLS for a long time. And it was because people were really excited about it. And, you know, I remember a good friend of mine from Toronto FC, he was like, how much do you charge for the field seats? I told him, he was like, God bless you. That is fantastic. I can't believe you're getting that much, but that's great that you're doing that. And they priced theirs up and other teams have fallen suit. And it's really, it's been a fortunate thing for us. And it's been the corporate community that's led that for us as people have responded really well.
Okay, we got another question. Go for it.
During that 2-year window when you got the expansion team, what are some challenges that you faced other than selling season tickets?
Well, we leveraged those 2 years. So if you bought season tickets in 2009 and 2010, you had the first opportunity to buy season tickets in 2011. So we leveraged that. We had some people complaining about their priority number. It wasn't high enough. They thought that they'd had season tickets longer. It was a lot of logistical things that were probably the biggest ones. And then also staffing. We had to staff up quickly there. And we didn't want to spend a ton in 2009. 2010, we really started staffing up, but we were probably a little behind there. So it was a full team effort in trying to get everything going when we started converting those deposits into new sales in June of 2010. We started right after the US England World Cup. On the marketing side, their challenge was we released a logo and we got no fan feedback in the creation of it, and it bombed. It did not do well. It leaked the night before. And if you want, I'm not going to, I don't want to share what they said, but if you want to look it up on YouTube, halftime of the US England game in 2010, our fans spent the entire first half drinking in the beer garden. And when we unveiled the logo, they had some fun words to share about their thoughts on that logo that it was not a great day. It was a rough day. So we changed the logo after that, but it's on YouTube. You can look it up. It was live streamed on MLS.com, and yeah, it did not go well. Not a great day.
Avery, what's your question?
So I know that you mentioned that working with like local partnerships help you bring the fans in, but what are some downsides to working with local partnerships rather than like big name companies?
The amount of money they have to spend. If you have a national partner, they're going to have more money to spend and probably more resources in order to activate their partnerships. So when you're working with some local people, it's probably going to be it might be a smaller. I mean, Tillamook's a huge company, so they're fantastic to work for. But if you have some smaller partners that are local, they might not have the same resources and to activate your partnership, because you want your partners to be active in the marketplace too, sharing that they're a partner of yours, having your logo in their places of business. All those things are positive for you because it helps build your brand. So that might be some of the downside, but we have a ton of great partners, and we work closely with them to activate their brand and our brand together.
Okay, Maddie has a question.
This is taking it in a little bit of a different direction, but what advice would you give to someone pursuing a job in the sporting industry?
So I'll give you my background. So I went to the University of South Carolina, sports management major. Didn't know what I wanted to do coming out of college, and they didn't really prepare me. And I wrote a paper. The final paper I had to write was after I had an internship. And I basically said, you didn't prepare me for a job in sports. It's what the 20-page paper, the synopsis of it was. But so I took a job back. I was from Hartford, Connecticut, took a job back with the minor league hockey team there in ticket sales because they had a job open. I had student loans to pay, I had rent to pay, had to do something. And I probably learned more in the first 3 or 4 months of selling tickets than I did in 4 years of college at the University of South Carolina. And I think I said that in the paper too. So I'm not saying anything that I didn't already tell my professor at that time. They've since changed it. They have sales classes now. They focus on that. But I'm not saying it wasn't me. I'm sure they just looked at how things were going in the sports world. But it's probably going to be a sales job. It might not be where you want to end up in the end. But if you are generating revenue, you have value to the company. We're a business at the end of the day. This isn't a clubhouse. This isn't a rec league team. We need to make money in order to pay the bills, pay the players, pay our staff. So it might not be where you want to end up, but you got to get your foot in the door and work hard. And that's what I did. I got my foot in the door. I worked my tail off. I'm an average salesperson at best, but I've outworked my competitors all throughout my career. That's been the hallmark for me is hard work. I know it's cliche, but it's 100% true. I've seen much better salespeople than me. I've managed much better salespeople than me, and they just haven't had the work ethic. And there was one in Columbus in particular. I remember he was just loafing and wasn't working hard. And I said, I wish I had your talent. I really do wish I had your sales talent, because you're way better salesperson than I am. And if you work hard, you can be better. And it lit a little, I feel like it lit a fire then. And probably 3 years ago, I talked to them, and he said, thanks for kicking me in the butt, because I needed it. And it supercharged his career. He's gone on to do really, really great things in the business. So, it's getting in and working hard. And the one thing that helped me out, I always said yes to everything. I did every possible thing that was necessary. If they needed someone to work an event, I said yes. And just saying yes and being open and available to things, that makes you an asset, and that makes people want to work with you too. Not a fun thing, but I got in the mascot costume. It was a wolf costume. It was awful in there. It was sweaty and hot and disgusting. Hated every second of it, but it made me somebody that they know that they could rely on. And fortunately, I'm in a place in my career I don't have to get in a mascot costume. And we do have Timber Joey. I meet people in the community like, "What? Oh, you're Joe. You work at the Timbers. Are you?" I'm like, "I'm not Timber Joey. No, I don't know how to use chainsaw. I'm not learning how to use chainsaw anytime soon, so I can't fill in for him." So, but it really was helpful for me in just making a name for myself as someone who's going to work hard and help out wherever necessary. And that was something that led me to get a foothold in the organization and grow and expand my career.
Joe, just kind of following up on that, it kind of seems like sports is really working in it. You have people that gravitate towards it because they like the glamour of the backyard, but really it's an insurance office where you have to sell and you've got a nice backyard to do things. How quickly do you sniff out the people that, really are just there because they want to watch the sport?
Well, in interviews, when I ask people why they want to work here, they're like, "Oh, I love sports." Like, that's great. Awesome. I don't really care if you like sports. It doesn't, I mean, who doesn't like sports, right? We all like sports. So when you say, "Oh, I love sports," cool. What else about you? What else makes you different of why we should hire you? And when people have asked me about my career, I say it's no different. It's no different than selling insurance or selling paper or whatever. I just have a different product that I sell. It's a little more fun. I work nights and weekends too. A little bit more, probably a few more hours than others probably do. But it is a fun thing at the end of the day. I'm selling entertainment. I'm selling a fun product. And it is, we're not part of the team. We're not on the field. We're not part of the team. We're the business side. And it is an office. You're working, sometimes our offices are in the stadium. So like my desk face out. So right now I'm looking out at the field, it's a cool, listen, it's nice. It's fun. There's some great aspects of working in this business. And you get some great experiences too. You're not going to win a trophy if you're in insurance sales, but we won MLS Cup in 2015. It was a fantastic ride and a very fun atmosphere and fun experience. And even on the business side, you get rings when you win championships, and you don't get rings in insurance sales, but there's fun aspects to it. But it is, as Troy said, it is a business, and you're here working, and you're in the office, and it's not we were looking at some office space across the street, and somebody, one of the real estate agents was giving a tour, and he showed they have a gym there. I was like, "Oh, that's nice." He goes, "You guys don't need that though. You have a gym at the stadium." I'm like, "We don't get to use that. That's for the players. They don't let us go use the team gym. That's not part of that's not part of it." So he was like, he was surprised. But I'm like, no, we're separate from the team. The team has their facilities. We have to do our own thing. So, yeah, but it is a business at the end of the day.
Well, fantastic. Malachi has a question.
So speaking of the business side, So when it comes to team performance, how much is the business side affected by that? Whether that's, the culture, finances, et cetera.
If you're winning, it helps, obviously. I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't matter, but we don't sell wins and losses because we don't have any control over that. The only thing we can sell is experience. In the ticket sector, we sell experiences, whether it's a family experience, whether it's corporate hospitality, taking care of your employees, giving them a fun experience, we sell that. And on the corporate partnership side, we're selling, how people are marketing their brands and helping their brands grow outside, either in the building and outside the building. So we don't sell wins and losses. If you do that, you're going to lose in the end, because not everyone's going to be the Golden State Warriors and winning every year and consistently very, very good. You're going to have ups and downs, good years and bad years. And in those bad years, you need to be able to rest on things other than team performance to make yourself successful on the business side.
Diego has a question. It's kind of a fun one.
What do you think about Seattle being one of the host World Cup cities and Portland not?
Well, our building's only 25,000, so there was no way we could have hosted a World Cup game. I would have loved to, obviously. It would have been a nice benefit, but we'll leverage our close proximity to Seattle with some of our partners and taking partners to games and doing that. It's great that we have a host site in the Pacific Northwest. I'm excited about that. But yeah, we'd love to have one here, but with 25,000 seats, just not possible for us.
Saeed, who's from India, has a question, and I'm sure she follows the world's game more than anybody else in this room, right?
So I want to ask about the process of getting sponsorships. So how do you get them to believe in the team and to invest in the team?
It's about showing what value you can bring to their brand, and how they want to activate. Is it, obviously if you have, Coca-Cola or Pepsi, they're pouring rights in the stadium, that's going to be a benefit to them. Beer companies, it's a benefit to them. But, for DeBella, they're a company that's growing nationally, and our value proposition is we're on Apple TV now. You can see us all throughout the country, and they're able to activate their brand, both here in Portland, and then they can't really activate outside Portland because of the MLS rules, but they're on our jersey all throughout the country. They're able to they have markets all throughout the country, and they're able to show, hey, we've got, the Timbers are coming to Boston when we play the New England Patriots, the New England Revolution. And when we're there, they're able to take clients there, and they can see DeBella, and it helps with their brand recognition. It's going to help their brand recognition here in Portland. I mean, I'm a homeowner, been a homeowner for 10 plus years. I never heard of DeBella before we went through this process, and I'm their target market. I don't know how to do any home improvement stuff, and I'm their target market, and I'd never heard of them. So it's going to help them here. It's going to help nationally. So it's really finding who's looking to grow their brand, and how we can do that for them. Is it through, email marketing campaigns? Is it through our social media and growing? We've really supercharged our social media, our content creation. We had 5 full-time people last year. We're up to 9 full-time content creators this year, just all about growing our social media brand, which will help partners too, because they get attached to our brand. We can deliver posts that are going to get seen by, millions and millions of people. And that's a positive thing for them.
Joe, one thing that, kind of got mentioned every single time you and I would go to a sports business conference together was that MLS had really captured the young millennial Gen Z market. And I was wondering if that was still the case, because NASCAR was getting to the point where it was like the lowest age was really 46, and you guys were in the 18 to 25 category, which is kind of premium, right?
Yeah, we continue. It continues to be skew younger than any other major professional league. We're number 1. I think NBA is number 2 as far as I think 18 to 35. We're number 1. I think it's like a 61% share, and I think NBA is second in that. But it continues to skew younger, and I think it plays in with how much soccer grows in the youth soccer element has grown. And I think, it's been really, really impactful for us with marketing too, with marketers too, because they want to get that younger core group to buy their brands. And that's why we're getting some great brands, and you're seeing it all across MLS. Some great brands are buying partnerships with MLS teams outside of Miami. Everyone wants to be with Miami and Messi, obviously, but outside from that, got some great brands that are buying MLS partnerships.
Kayla has a question.
So earlier you had talked about skills and qualities needed to like progress through the workforce, like saying yes to all opportunities and being a hard worker. What skills and qualities do you think are necessary for a position that you're currently in?
Team building. So my current role is Chief Revenue Officer, and I oversee ticketing, marketing, and partnerships. And so I'm building teams, rebuilding some teams that we had we had to make some changes in 2023 and a couple of our departments, and it's just really building the teams and then building cross-departmental bridges, because we're all in this together. We're all working together in this. Previously, we were all kind of siloed. So when I was working in ticketing, I was focused on ticketing. Really wasn't there wasn't anybody here that was really building connections across multiple departments, and we all have to work together. Ticketing doesn't live in its own silo. Partnerships doesn't live in its own silo. Marketing doesn't live in its own silo. We all work together because, ticketing needs marketing to put some advertising out there. Partnerships needs marketing to grow the social media base so that we can be attractive to partners. And marketing needs the revenue coming in from ticketing and partnerships in order to do those things. So we're all in this together, and it's just building the bridges between the departments. That's what we're doing here, and that's the skills I'm using. And then the other thing is, this is something that not just in this one, but in any role, it's not being averse to conflict. Conflict's not always negative. Change only comes through conflict, and you have to be comfortable in it at times where you have to hold people accountable, and it's not always the most fun, but it's things that we have to do for us to be successful, is holding people accountable, being comfortable in those conflict situations, because, not everything is going to be just, butterflies and rainbows at all times. It's going to be some tough times, and you've got to be comfortable in that and have some tough conversations, which, they're not fun to have. It's not great times, but you have to have them, and that's what gets you forward. Change only comes through conflict. That's how you want everything needs to change. Change is the only thing in life that's constant is change. So if you get comfortable in that conflict and that change, you're going to be better off in the long run.
Jocelyn, what's your question?
So on the note of like teams, we recently had a paper where we had to create and plan a sporting event. And although you have your own like personal position, how many people would you say would it take to make an event or a campaign possible?
Depends on the event. If it's a 5K, it's going to be probably, you're going to have a lot of volunteers along the way, like along the route. If it's a 3-on-3 tournament, you're going to need a lot of referees probably. It depends on what the event is. So tough for me to say like what you would need for that. In this day and age of social media, you probably don't need a ton of marketing people, because you can have one person can run a social account and really make a lot of impact on that too. So you need some content creators. So you need some people that are filming, even with iPhones, and able to upload that video to social media. And it depends on how. And you're gonna need salespeople to sell, whether it's partnerships or tickets, or depending on the event. So it's tough to say what exactly you need without knowing the event.
Joe, so we're thinking about coming down to visit you. What will we experience if we come down and really hang with Joe Cote of the Portland Timbers?
Well, you much better time seeing the game than hanging with me, I could tell you that. The atmosphere here is really second to none. I know I'm paid to say that, but it's true. I really do believe it. When I got recruited for this job, the recruiter said, "I don't have my file in front of you. What sport don't you want to work in?" I said, "Soccer. I hate soccer." And he said, "Okay." So he said, "There's a AAA baseball team," went through the whole thing. And at the end of it, he said, there's a USL soccer team. It's turnkey. You don't have to do anything for it. People show up. It's okay. So I came down and then the first soccer game in 2008, I've always found fan passion compelling. It's one of the things that draws me to sports, and the fans are so passionate. So I started paying attention, and I can honestly say it's my second favorite sport now behind American football is soccer. I got hooked into it. I absolutely love the experience. I have a really good friend of mine. His brother-in-law was out here visiting somebody and asked if he could come to a game because his friend out here liked soccer. So I set him up with tickets, and he went back to Rhode Island, and he said to my friend Nick, he said, "Nick, you know, I don't even like sports. That was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever had in my life." So if you don't even like sports, coming to a game, you can even like it. And one of my best friends was out here in 2019, doesn't like soccer at all. He said it was as good or better than Cameron Indoor Stadium for a Duke game. So that was high praise. I was really excited when he said that. And that was a Seattle game. So it was our biggest game of the year. Supporters were, really, really into it. So that was a fantastic compliment, and one that when people come to games, it is really very unique. It is like no other place in North America, in the US as far as soccer goes.
Well, fantastic stuff, Joe. Thank you very much for coming on and giving us your time, and we'll do it.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys down here.